One. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio podcast. I'm Andrew,
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
and we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here, back with us yet again for another episode. Today, we might have mentioned. I think we mentioned this last week. I don't know if we
I don't
did,
know.
but I think we might have mentioned this. But we're going to be talking about the Mandalorian. I can't talk to that. Mandalorian. That sounds like a pasta.
It is.
Mandalorian. We're going to be talking about the Mandalorian Gallery, Disney Gallery episode tonight.
I don't think we mentioned it last week because
No, because last week
we didn't even
we're
know
kind of
about
like,
it.
are we gonna do an episode ranking for season 2?
Yeah.
And like, I knew that the gallery thing was coming, but I
I-
totally forgot about it until Drew mentioned it on Christmas Day. Like, oh yeah, it is, and I went and watched it.
Yeah.
But is it just one episode only? Because
don't
they
know.
left out a major thing, which we'll get to, and I'm like,
Yes.
maybe they're gonna devote just an entire episode to that.
So it seems like it was, but then it also doesn't. I don't know. Like,
Yeah. No.
you know what?
For the first time ever, Jeremiah, your look of confusion said it all. I actually think I know exactly what Drew is saying after him explaining something like that.
Because like it seemed like they went through every single episode, right? So for
Yeah.
me, it seemed like, all right, this is it. Like it was sweet. It felt like it would be on the end of the episode. Like if you bought the disc, right? You bought the box set, then you go and see how it made. It was like kind of how they made it, right? But the last season they went by episode, or they went by like this is what the volume
Well,
is. You know,
Well,
like
the first season they did it by topic of
yeah.
production.
Right.
This one
Right.
was episode by episode, but
But
they
in one
didn't-
episode, like it was really quick.
Right.
And so I don't know, and it was really long. I looked back
an
and
hour.
I saw the other ones that are like 30. The most was like 40 minutes or 45 minutes.
Right.
Like this was like an hour
Yeah.
two, like an hour and 2 minutes or something. And I was like watching it. I watched it last night because I wanted it kind of fresh. And I'm like, wow, this is long. And
Yeah.
on top of that, my wife had like 1,055 questions, so I kept pausing it and explaining what this was, or explaining why. Like, and like, if you guys don't know, like, she's super, like, she went to school for media communication, so like, she's really into photography, and we used to film weddings and blah 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 blah. So she knows a lot about like the camera aspects of it, which is like so she says she doesn't like seeing it behind the scenes because then when she rewatches it, she like picks up on stuff and it annoys her. Like
Right.
we watched, for instance, we watched Home Alone, and then we watched the movies that made us on Netflix about Home Alone.
Right. Yeah.
And her favorite Christmas movie is Home Alone. But after she watched that, she's like super angry that it wasn't actually in the house, that they filmed it in like the pool at this like. I was like, girl, it doesn't matter. Like the movie's the same. Like, but she's just
Right.
kind of like that person where if you like tell her this is how it's actually made, it kind of bothers her. So like when we were watching it, she's like, well, why didn't they do it like this? They could have done this. And I'm like, girl, just watch I'm just trying to watch this.
Maybe she needs to apply for a job at Lucasfilm.
Well, and that's what I told her. I'm like, why? Just that'd be super dope. Like, and she was like talking about how it's cool. Like, you can tell. She asked me, one of the questions was like, do you think that all the people at Lucasfilms like Star Wars and like they love Star Wars? I'm like, most likely, if you're applying to work at Lucasfilm, you grew up watching Star Wars. Like this was your
Right.
childhood, and your goal in your life was to work for that, right? And so I'm like, I'm pretty sure all these people, like, if they weren't like watching it as a kid or something, like they grew up watching Star Wars, and like that's how they fell in love with like what their job soon will be, you know. And so
I would just watch toilets at Lucasfilm. Like,
dude, I would do anything. I was like,
Yeah,
see that
that's
dead
fair.
body? I would just be in the suit being dead. Like, I do not care. Just let me there. I don't
Alright.
care. But that was
But
a long
anyway.
rant about.
Uh,
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that today. But really quickly, let's just go ahead and get some shopkeeping items out of the way first. One, we are on top of recording this also streaming live on Twitch. For whatever reason, if you have never seen our faces,
Hello there.
if it's like the Mandalorian and you've never seen our faces in public, you can actually go watch us record these episodes live, which in my opinion is worth it because it gives you context to so many things that you don't get to see if you just listen to the audio version of the podcast, like us looking at one another in funny ways, or Drew doing things, or having like props or something in the background.
It's always me doing things.
And not to mention, you get to see all the little things like the breaks that we take for, the spots where some of the sound bites go and whatever. So it's a lot of fun. If you want to head over to twitch.tv/Empire Radio. Is that correct, Drew?
Correct.
Empire Radio?
Yep.
Twitch.tv/Empire Radio. And if you follow us, you'll get notified when we go live. 99% of the time, it is the same time on Tuesday nights. So just stay tuned for that and come and join us. There is a chat going, a live chat, and sometimes we will actually interact with the chat and we will talk about the chat in the podcast episode, depending on the episode. So you want to be there for that. Also, next week, January the 6th, the 5th. Jeremiah, you always tell me.
Tuesday the 5th.
The 5th. Tuesday, January 5th. We are starting 2021. I can't believe it's already here. But we're starting 2021 with a bang, and we are going to be doing season 2 of Jeremiah's Bad Batch fan fiction.
Oh, yeah.
So if you missed season 1, you're going to want to go recap. So those episodes are in the archive of all the episodes that we've done for the Empire Radio podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where you listen to podcasts, they're there. You just have to look for them. But on top of that, I'm going to be doing everything in my power to upload the audio for those episodes to our YouTube channel as well. Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast on YouTube. So make sure you head over there, you hit subscribe, and then you hit the bell icon, because then you'll be notified when those videos go live. So I'm going to try to get them up a few days in advance so that you can listen to all of the audio and get caught up on that story.
Also, if you guys don't catch our live streams on Twitch, they will be uploaded to YouTube as well. So you can still watch us. It's just not going to be live, but it will be on YouTube as well.
Yeah, we weren't doing this back in the day. So we don't have anything. I have to actually post the audio in some sort of a video format for those. So go check us out on YouTube, twitch.tv/Empire Radio, YouTube, Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast. And while we're mentioning social medias, Instagram and Facebook, both of which are at Empire Radio Podcast. Check us out.
And also, starting January 1st, which is a couple days away, we will be officially launching our Discord for our fans for Empire Radio. And so you will want to watch for us on Facebook and Instagram with a picture of. Do we tell them the name of the Discord now?
No. You
gotta wait.
You gotta wait. We got a special fun name for our Discord, and the link will be in that to join that. And we're excited to interact with our fans and have you part of the Empire.
And here's the thing: you're gonna want to be a part of that because we're gonna be posting about things there first. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that's going to be great, and we're not leaving those behind. But the Discord is going to be the easiest way to get in contact with us directly, as a fan, as a Star Wars fan, a part of the community. But it's also going to be the place where you're going to be able to hear news and exciting stuff first. It's kind of like a VIP or like a Patreon, but you don't have to pay anything to be a part of this. You just have to come and join us. So anyways, so we got a lot of exciting things happening in the near future, and you're not going to want to miss those, especially the Discord. I would like to remind everyone that next Wednesday, January the 6th, is it actually might be on the Okay, I think it might be on the 5th, actually.
What?
The High Republic book
That it
comes
is.
out.
I think it is the 5th. Now that you mention
It
it,
comes out on the Tuesday. Oh man, I've got to go. I got to go get that.
I'm debating whether I should order the books or not on Amazon.
Jeremiah,
They
no,
haven't sent to
No.
me.
you have Jeremiah. You said you were going to read this one.
He did.
I said I was considering
No,
it.
nope.
I didn't say I was. I said
You have to read it so that we can all get together and do an episode on it when we're done.
Okay.
So then
I have so many books.
because there's 2 coming out, right? In January.
Yes, but there's like I think it's a young adult one. I don't know. I need to go back and reread the schedule. But anyways, for those of you that it wasn't on your radar, Tuesday the 5th, Light of the Jedi.
Yeah, so
that's the book by Charles Soule. It's coming out.
We wouldn't do a discussion until February because all 4 weeks in January is Bad Batch. So that'll give me time to read 1 page a day or whatever it takes to get through that book. It's
1 page a day?
I don't know.
That's not enough time.
5 pages a day.
That's like 2 chapters.
Let's work on a chapter a day, or
oh gosh. Actually, though, depending on how long the book is, some of the Star Wars books that I've read have had like 30 chapters. So
chapters don't matter, pages matter. So
yeah.
Dude, I'm trying to think. I'm like reading through the newest Thrawn book right now. And the how Star Wars made, not how Star Wars made us, but those short stories. You know what I'm talking about? From different point of views, the Star Wars from a different point of view.
Oh, from a certain point of view. Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah.
I'm reading the Empire Strikes Back one just came out.
Oh gosh, 400 pages is that first book. Oh my god,
Jeremiah,
that is not that.
Just let it go.
Oh,
all right,
no.
this isn't what we're here to talk about. Anyways, guys,
it's like more than 10 pages a day for. Oh my gosh,
you're fine.
You're so dramatic.
I guarantee you, it's going to be good enough that you're going to want to read more than that.
I hope so.
Dude, I haven't read a novel since my senior year in high school. I've read academic books,
but here's the thing: this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars.
True. Jeremiah, you're going to open a door to new worlds.
Yes.
Literally.
Listen.
Can I just wait till the movie comes out?
No. I went through that new Thrawn book so fast. I did it in like I'm pretty sure it was like 5 days, 5 to 7 days. I was done with it because I picked it up and it was so good. Every night before bed, I read for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. There were nights that I stayed up way too late. I knew I was staying up way too late, but I was like, I can't end on that chapter. That was way too big of a cliffhanger. So, all that to say, speaking of cliffhangers, let's take a quick moment to listen to a word about the first sponsor of today's episode, cufflinks.com. You might have heard of them on this podcast before. I wouldn't be surprised if you had, but they've been really wonderful to us, and so we want to tell you a little something about them. So go ahead and check it out. So for those of you that are watching the Twitch stream, and then after the fact on YouTube, one of those like little behind the scene moments that we talked about was, if anybody has noticed, we do I say the little bit about the ad, and then I space out and I do something. I'm actually writing down the timestamp for when the ad takes place in our recording file so that I don't have to go search through sometimes over 2 hours worth of audio to try to find the spots for the ads, because we try to be quiet so there's a little bit of a break in the waveforms. But if you think about it and you're looking at 2 hours worth of audio,
it's not that
even
big.
if it was a 10-minute break, it's so anyways,
still takes you forever.
Yep. All right, go check them out. Cufflinks.com.
Do it.
Code 2 days left.
Huh?
2 days left.
Days left.
Yep. The code is only valid for 2 more days. Empire 15, capital E, no space. Empire 15 at checkout. 15% off your order with no minimum purchase. Okay. So we're here, the Mandalorian Disney Gallery episode like we mentioned earlier. I'm pulling up my notes here too. It's only one episode. We didn't get a full season. I think that is probably because they were like, you know what? We did the thing. We did it once. The volume is the same. Like the costumes are, of course we have things like Ahsoka. We have things that we would probably want to know more about, but I feel like they were like, we'll just devote a really good episode to the whole thing rather than doing a full.
Do we know that for sure though, or no?
No, but I would imagine that I mean, with COVID and everything that was going on, I'm sure that was probably the thing. So
yeah, because
really quickly, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the lack of content. Drew, there's actually not.
Oh, I was looking for the elephant.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But I was going to
doing. Oh. I wasn't even. I was like, what the heck?
The lack of content. By the way, spoilers. If you have not seen any of the Mandalorian season 2, you have been warned. You are now entering, as of this very moment, spoiler territory. Okay.
Cool.
Hello there.
Okay, that's enough of a break right there to let you pause. There's no content about Luke Skywalker. There's none. We talked about all of the like pretty major things. They did a little segment on Ahsoka. They had the beautiful shot of her and Rosario Dawson and George Lucas like laughing. I mean, it was like, they paid homage to all these moments. Boba returning, Gianmarco and him wielding the dark saber in the final episode, like all these things. They talked about it all except for Luke Skywalker.
Why do you think that is?
I have no clue.
I feel like there's going to be another episode released sometime where it's just about how they did him.
You think they do like a full 30-minute episode just on that?
Yes.
I really don't. I think we're going to get this for 8 weeks, like the last one. You guys don't think so?
No.
That's the last
season. They would have announced that it would have been a whole season.
Did they announce that it was just one episode? Because it says season 2, episode 1. Like they didn't.
It's for season 2.
I mean,
no, but like the title on the thing,
it does say episode 1. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess for those of you who haven't seen it, the reason we're doing this, we're talking about this, is because they essentially took the entire second season, highlights from the whole season, and condensed it into 1 hour and like 4-minute episode. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a really good like 30,000 foot view with a few pit stops of certain key things. And it really works as like a mini documentary on its own. Yeah. So that's kind of why we're wondering, because it's like, well, they definitely didn't do the first season this way. Is it just 1 episode? I mean, like, they would have to find new content, because what I don't want to see is another episode about the volume where it's just like, hey, it's the same thing, but it's bigger.
Yeah.
Because
last season, right, there was a round table. There's a round table conversation with 1 episode about the directors, 1 was about ILM, 1 was like about the people of Disney, Lucasfilm, and stuff like that, and you got people that we don't want to see on camera ever again. We have people like it was a lot, right? But we just went by episode, and we talked to the directors a little bit. We talked to the art people, actually, like the makeup people a lot,
which was good.
I loved it. I loved
it. That a lot. Yeah.
But for me, it just didn't seem complete fully. It didn't seem like last season, it could just be one off, but
it's because, Drew, they didn't go into as much detail, like because they had to cram so much.
Yeah,
I agree with you, and that is because we literally got entire episodes dedicated to the score, to the costume and the creatures.
We didn't get the score at all. We didn't get any conversation about the music,
right?
Which is also kind of surprising. Especially that big, like that different music take in the last episode. You know what I mean? I feel like you could talk about that for like at least 10 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It didn't seem fully complete, but I understand if they do like this is it. And it would make sense if it was because of COVID, because like if you guys watch, like towards the end when they're getting through the last episodes, all of a sudden they have masks on, and they're slowly dealing with COVID, and so
yeah. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why you probably wouldn't see a traditional round table.
yeah,
And that's why all the actors and actresses were being interviewed solo in rooms where they were probably distanced enough where they didn't have to wear there wasn't a need to wear their masks, but it might have been them and like two other people in a room,
Right.
one running the camera and one doing something else. But
and maybe that's why. Yeah, I don't know. To me, this wasn't even advertised. I don't know, Jeremiah. How did you figure it out?
Well, they announced it like a month ago or 2 months
yeah,
ago.
they did. They were like,
and I
hey, we're
posted on
doing this
Discord,
again.
but it was just kind of like something that got lost in the comments really quick.
No. I saw it.
I didn't see it. The only reason why I literally found out about it was because someone was doing a watch party to it. I'm like, there's an episode 9? Like, what is this watch party? Like, huh? A live watch party Friday or Christmas Day. And I was like, wait, what? Are we supposed to do this? Like, is this going to be... Because, like, if you guys don't know, we did for the Mandalorian podcast, formerly known... Now that's just Empire Radio. But we did a breakdown of every single episode. And so I didn't know if we were supposed to meet up the next day and do a podcast episode. I was super confused. And so, but if we find out on Friday that they're dropping another episode, I will still cover it somehow. We'll figure it out for you guys and we will cover it. But it's just it was confusing to me. But
yeah, I mean, that was the thing. That's kind of why we weren't on. I mean, one, it was Christmas Day, but normally we do try to be on these things pretty quickly, but we waited because we figured it was just like a one and done thing.
And it's a holiday.
We'll see. It's a holiday.
Weeks, plural.
Yeah. So, we can just jump in. There's no in a similar manner to the gallery episodes that we did before. There's no really good way to go scene by scene because there's so much. I did take quite a few notes just on my phone in passing when I was watching this. And we can use those as jumping off points if we wanted to. I know that Jeremiah, there was one thing that you mentioned you wanted to go over, and I'm sure Drew has a few things too.
Jeremiah, do you want to do that now or wait?
Doesn't matter. We can go episode by episode, or we can just do whatever. I don't care.
Let's just
do whatever. I think we just highlight our favorite parts on it, and
So I don't know. Okay, we'll do my thing that I want to talk about. I don't know if you noticed it, but when they were doing the Ahsoka scene, there's a part when Rosario Dawson's in her makeup and she's walking through the set. There is another person dressed as Ahsoka that's like a child, and I want to know what that was all about. Like,
I don't think she was a child.
It's just her stunt double.
A stunt double, yeah.
It's her stunt.
I
paused it actually on that spot.
It was a much smaller person.
It didn't look that much smaller.
And it wasn't a full costume. It was just like the makeup and the headdress. It seemed like. And so I was like, are they simultaneously like filming another show at the same time or something like that?
That's your thoughts.
Is that supposed to be little Ahsoka rather than adult Ahsoka and like a flashback scene or something? I was kind of like,
there's no way they did that in
there for a reason for us to see. Like, that wasn't
You're
just
reading into it too much.
It was planned.
It's just a stunt double.
I don't know. When did she need a stunt double in there? Like, she did all of her own.
But she didn't do. I doubt she did everything. Mando has 3 different stunt doubles, but they only highlighted like one of them.
Well, no, they did. First of all, he has 2, and he
has 3. He has the gunslinger dude. What's his name's nephew or whatever. And then he has that guy with the giant braid, like dreadlocks, which is dope. And then he has a bigger dude who does a lot of the flips and stuff. He has 3. I remember last season he had 3 of them, and we were like,
"Well, they
what
only
does
talked
he
about
do
2
then?"
of them.
Last season they talked about 3 of them.
I thought there was only 2.
Really?
I thought it was Pedro Pascal, and then the other two guys.
So
3
Pedro
total.
plus 2 stunt doubles is total of 3. There's where
Yeah.
you get your 3.
Oh, maybe.
But I don't know.
I thought there was a third dude.
But anyway, I feel like that was put in there for some other purpose because they never addressed the stunt double. They never I don't know. I think there's more meaning to that than we realize. That's all.
Well, that'd be cool. I just think it's a stunt double, but
Yeah, I did. I didn't even. I saw that and immediately because I just watched it right before we started recording, and I saw it and I was like, stunt double. I just missed it immediately.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
So did
it was
I.
something else though.
I was just like, oh, she has a stunt double too. But you are right. They definitely didn't really highlight that much. Especially they were actually highlighting how much she's into her character. And what bothered... Okay, I'm going to be real. I liked her. I love her as an actress. I really do. Like, she's in a lot of my favorite movies. Like, she's in Rent, which I love that musical. It's a really good musical.
Yeah,
Like,
for
she's
sure.
in a lot of good things. And she did want this role. What bothered me, though, is that what's her name got her role as a clone. Or, sorry, not as a clone. From Clone Wars, the voice actress, she got her role.
Done.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't understand why they didn't talk to Ashley. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just because Ashley is like 90% voice actor. Like she's not.
Yeah, but didn't
in person though. Like she's not usually not on camera acting. Also, like Rosario Dawson looks like Ahsoka. Like her face.
No,
she does.
No,
is much closer to Ahsoka than Ashley would be.
I get that. I just know that like they talked to her, right? Like they didn't even talk to Ashley at all. She had no idea.
Wow.
Well, she says.
But
that's said that she had to say that,
but also, I mean, I could see them doing that because the less people, excuse me, the less people that know, the better in these cases. You know, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that I could see them doing that. But I mean, she probably also had to sign an NDA, you know, that states I'm not going to talk about any of this until it airs, you know, or probably even afterwards, you know.
Yeah,
like
she hasn't said anything that I know of.
So I think what I did after the episode aired, she did like praise her performance, but that's just as a fan, basically. Then
okay.
Right.
Because I know Ashley, she's done a lot of Disney promotion stuff as of late. I don't know if you guys seen her, but like she signed. No. So when they redid at Galaxy's Edge, they came out with the clone lightsabers of Ahsoka's her green and blue one. So you can change the colors, just blue or one green and one blue. It's really cool. And she signed like 700 of them, and you could just go buy them, and her signature's on them. And like so, then she walked around Disney World and was like taking photo ops with people from like 6 feet distance, and like she was actually like, and this was like, I don't know, it just seemed like it was kind of forced a little bit because we got a lot of her. Like maybe they're like, hey, sorry for not letting you be in our like the live action version. I don't know. It just seemed a little different, but I think it is cool that she doesn't have any hard feelings, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I really like the scene when she was getting her makeup put on and she was kind of like excited and dancing like in her seat. Like I almost got teary-eyed a little bit, but I really like that. Like she was just excited to be Ahsoka. Like, she wasn't just like an actor with makeup on. It was like this is like exciting.
I think this is a good segue to something that I noticed, and that was also stated. I think it was Dave Filoni at some point. He's towards the end. He says everyone has a personal, or maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was Robert Rodriguez, or I don't know. Someone said everyone has a personal relationship with every frame of the movie. Someone also says that every single department and every single person in those departments brings 110%. And then there was an opportunity for Matt Wood to play Bib Fortuna, who originally played him he's part of the sound design department. He played him in The Phantom Menace, came back to play him. There's this constant theme where all of the people involved in this production are genuinely excited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
People are calling things by their actual names. They're acknowledging the lore. They're acknowledging the detail. Yeah. And of course we see this in when we watch the first season of Disney Gallery, but I think, Jeremiah, you really hit the nail on the head when you were talking about Rosario Dawson, how excited she was. And I would say that was on average everyone. And that is something that for this production was really comforting to me, for me to see, because of the way the sequels went.
Yeah. Because it seemed like those in the lead roles for the sequel trilogy weren't super fans of Star Wars. Like they were fans, but it seemed like they just weren't as passionate as a lot of the people working on The Mandalorian.
Right.
And so there's a night and day difference in just like the passion you have behind your performance because you're in Star Wars. Like if it's meaningful to you, it's gonna show. But if it's just kind of like a gig, or like, obviously they know it wasn't just a gig because it's Star Wars and they know how big deal it was. Because I think there's a story of the first day of the Force Awakens shooting, Daisy Ridley freaked out and had a panic attack. I can't do this. This is Star Wars. So she knew the weight on her shoulders.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like those performances and stuff and the promotions of the sequels weren't as passionate.
Well, for me, it's I feel bad for them. Honestly, I don't want to talk about this too much, but I feel bad for them because I feel like they really did like Episode 7 as creator, and you can tell they had a lot of heart into it, and as much as some people like Episode 8 or whatever your feelings are, you can tell their performances weren't as genuine, as actors, it seemed like, and even in their post film interview talking up about the movie, they kept it didn't feel if you look back at those interviews and stuff before the movie came out, it doesn't feel like they wanted to be there. And then after the backlash with it, they definitely didn't want to be there. Right. And it just seemed like they kind of didn't want that pressure anymore. And I just feel bad for them because you have the other side of the spectrum where you have all these characters, all these actors begged for these roles on The Mandalorian, and not because they want to be in a Star Wars film. They want to be these characters, right?
Sure.
You have even Jon Favreau is certain voice acting parts in the first season, right? It just seems like these people.
Well, he voice acted in the Clone Wars.
Well, yeah, exactly. And he begged for that role.
He's been a part of this for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so and we all heard that story about how he was at the Lucas Ranch and he talked to Dave Filoni and it's hey, if you ever have any parts, let me know. I'll totally do a voice acting part. And Dave Filoni gave him a Mando part. And it is this of a Mandalorian. And it came full circle. And that was one of the conversations I was having with my wife last night was about that. She's so why does Jon Favreau want to do this, or why he seems so passionate about it and he's such a good leader. Right. She's right. From seeing this, I can tell he is a genuine leader and everyone loves to be around him. And yeah, you could tell there's probably parts where he's super stern and strong willed and he wants it his way, a certain type of way, but he also is just a genuine leader and understands what Star Wars is supposed to look like and feel like. And you saw that when they built the what's his name, his castle. Like they didn't just do it because they couldn't get the angles right for the why can't
The volume.
yeah, they couldn't get the volume angles of no what's his name's castle? Why am I
Jabba?
Jabba's the Hutt palace castle whatever. They couldn't get the angles right, so they literally just remade that. They just built it out. And I feel like some people would have just like figured out how to do it differently. But they're like, let's just go for it and go big. And like it was a 2 minute, not even a 2 minute scene. But they put in so much work into that. And like they got the guy who played him in the prequel. And if they could have got the guy who played him in the original, if he wasn't like if he didn't pass away already, they would have got him somehow. Like they really care about what they're doing, and you can tell, and it's really sweet.
Yeah, kind of coming full circle. That's kind of what I'm saying, in that it's really nice to see that so many people that are involved with this production are legitimately fans. We're not, because the sequels felt like it was Star Wars in the hands of someone who didn't fully appreciate it.
Disney.
But this, which is still Disney.
No, I know, but it felt like it was like Disney's twist on it. Like even the way it looks,
Yeah. This was given to people who, one of them is an understudy of George Lucas. And one of them is extremely passionate about getting things right. And that was the other thing that I really appreciated, was even the directors voiced their feelings of the weight and the responsibility that they felt with this. Robert Rodriguez, the whole time he was talking about his experience with Boba Fett, he was like, my secret personal mission for this episode was to treat it as if this was the only episode that Boba was going to be present. He was like, sure, he's not going to be just in this episode, but I want to give him that setup. I want to give him that screen time to where it says, Boba's back. He's actually back. And I want to give, because he talks about how, he grew up going to see the original movies, and how like, sorry, I heard something in the kitchen for a second that I was not expecting here. Anyways, but he was talking about how like he went to the movie and how Bubba was a hit even before Empire Strikes Back, and how he and his friends, like there was this mystery with he and his friends surrounding the character because he didn't have a backstory. Like he talked about this whole experience that he had as a kid, and he was like, this is the moment where I get to do him justice 40 years later, And so it's very evident, and it shows. We've seen all these behind the scenes looks, and how all of these people love Star Wars. They bring 110%. They bring their art into this production, and then what we get out is loved by fans, and that's the difference. It's having people that genuinely want to do it justice. There was a quote, where Robert Rodriguez was like, all the tropes are there from all the original Star Wars content. All the tropes are there. They're just done in a different order, in a different way. And he made a comment about how Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni genuinely want to respect the legacy of Star Wars. And then Dave Filoni said, and I loved what he said. He said something along the lines of, I swear I typed it down. Oh, he said something along the lines of, there's a respect for the people who even worked on the original movies, because they're the reason we had a job. So when he's talking about set design, he's talking about character development, all these things, he's like, sure, we're respecting Star Wars, but we also are trying to respect the actual people and their work from ILM and all of these things that paved the way for Star Wars 40 years ago, because he was like, these are the people that gave us something that now has set us up to have jobs in today's day and age. And I think that's super cool to see. I mean, I'm not surprised, because it's Dave Filoni, and he's basically the savior of all of the good Star Wars content in the last like decade. But you know,
Right.
I thought it was really cool to hear that, to hear him say that. You know, it was just really cool and heartwarming for sure.
Yeah, going back to Robert Rodriguez, is that his name?
Yes.
Um, two things. Like hearing him discuss the episode made me like the episode more because
Same here.
it
Yep.
was probably the episode that we all criticized the most, even though there was some of the best stuff in the series in this episode, like in that episode. But hearing his backstory on his passion behind it and why he took the choices that he did, like made me like the episode more. And the whole thing, like there was only like 3 pages of
Of the fight scene.
the
Yeah.
dialogue or whatever for the whole episode, and like he had to like fill in the rest of the episode to make
Yeah,
it longer than
he
like
made it
10-minute
into a
episode.
9-minute scene.
Yeah.
Right. And
Dude,
so
that's insane.
yeah, that's pretty cool. And so
Yeah.
and then how he used the action figures to previs the
Yeah.
scene. That is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
For those of you that don't know, if you haven't seen this, so he went home during a holiday or something, or during one of the breaks, and he had a Boba helmet and a Stormtrooper helmet from his kids, and he used one or both of his sons
Yeah.
to basically previs the arrival of Boba in the armor.
Yeah.
And for all of the characters that he couldn't have people, his son, I guess it's, or maybe there were two, I don't know, but for everyone else, he had action figures. He literally had action figures and like terrible looking special effects.
Yeah.
It was like they did enough animation to animate a red rectangle across the screen as like a laser bolt. And then an explosion that wasn't even in the right spot on the screen, but like he took the time to go home and do that. And then he went and brought it back to John and Dave, you know, cuz he wanted to get it right.
Well, and
Yeah,
the
and,
best part was it John who said like, were those action figures? And he's like, yeah, those are action figures, thinking that he would be like, seriously? But it was more like, that's amazing. Like, this is
like,
amazing.
this is how it should be. Like this is how all the directors should be. Like
And then
playing,
that was
the kids playing with Star Wars.
exactly, and like that was another moment that Stephanie's like, huh, I don't understand. That's like cheesy. And I paused. I'm like, but you have to understand, like, he played with these toys as kids. As a child growing up watching this, I don't know if he did this scene, but he did a scene like this in his mind. Like, he played with these toys and he was imagining what he could do with these characters. And he was able to go home and be like, this is how I want this fight scene to look. And the best way for me to show it to my boss is to just do it the way I did it as a child.
Right.
And like, that is what Star Wars is. And we all have a version of that making, and I feel like that's why they had to show us. But we all had a version of playing with the toy in that certain way and like thinking like, wow, this is awesome, or like this is what it could do. And it was a really cool moment for me. I loved it.
Yeah. So, you know, quite obviously one of the things that we saw was the appreciation and the art that went into it. What I want to do is just go through and just list all of these things really quickly, and then we can kind of discuss them from there if you guys want to.
Okay.
So the first thing that I noticed was John Cho, the painter. I thought that was super cool.
Oh yeah, the graffiti. Yeah.
Yeah, he had John Favreau brought in a graffiti artist to do all of the graffiti in the first episode, which I thought was super cool. And then he got to play an alien.
Yeah.
In the first episode.
In the scene with the Gamorrean guard fight. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I just thought that it was interesting that they brought in like a professional graffiti artist to do that. Like it didn't even like cross my mind. I was like, oh, they just painted a bunch of stuff on a wall and that was it. But like, I guess good graffiti isn't like that. Like
no, it has layers.
Right.
It has layers and it has like technique that like most people don't realize. And I didn't really even. It's not that I didn't know that. It's just like I didn't even think about it, like when they made their set for this. I'm like, it makes sense though. Like, this is like a random planet, and there's the graffiti on this crappy area of the planet, and that's what it would look like in the Star
Well,
Wars
and
universe.
then he mentioned it to him, and he's like, "What? There's no graffiti in Star Wars." And then he's like, "What there is in Rebels, and now there is in live action."
Yeah.
And like, it's just cool, like that John's like for sure bringing in Rebels, or like just figuring out like how to make the universe more tight knit, and it's really cool. Andrew, do you know, is that the same street artist who does the pops?
I don't think so.
Because you like, who does those? Because
I
there
don't know.
is a graffiti artist who does graffiti over like Funko Pops, and like a lot of like the Star Wars ones. I thought they might have been him, but I could be wrong. But I do have one. I should look at the box. But I have a Boba Fett one, and it's like painted different, and I don't know who does them. As Andrew's chewing his ice, you guys.
Sorry. I will say that good graffiti is
good.
Okay. No, what I was gonna say,
it's like meaningful.
But it also makes a difference, because the one thing. Okay, for those of you that don't know, I live in North Carolina now. Used to live in Minnesota. Actually, lived about 20 minutes away from both of these guys. We used to meet in person. Yada yada yada.
Weird
so
flex.
I lived in the Twin Cities. No, well, it's giving it context for the fact that the one thing that really, like, legitimately pissed me off was bad tagging.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm like, okay, tagging in it of itself, you're going and spray painting over something that's probably not yours. That's really rude.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it well. Like, I'd rather it be like really good than it just, because like there was stuff when I used to work for security at my alma mater, North Central. We would, we had people tagging stuff all the time, but it would be like weird scribbles and stuff. And I know that stuff has meaning, and I know that there's a completely different world that I'm not seeing. But like, I'm like, dude, if you're gonna tag one of our doors, do something cool. Like, make it, anyways. So all that to say, like, bad graffiti looks really bad, and I'm glad that they got someone good to do it.
Well, like growing up, I used to do graffiti.
What?
I used to do. Me and my buddy would go out and spray paint a lot of stuff, not downtown, but in other places.
This was after we parted ways for a bit, right?
Yeah, this was a little split.
I knew you were the rebellious.
But I used to have a backpack full of Sharpies, and I used to have a book of all my graffitis that used to. Yeah, that's what you practice with. Because
I remember the story with your brother with Sharpies.
You didn't do it downtown. So did you go out to like freaking Prior Lake or something out in the middle of nowhere?
No, I went to high school. We did graffiti in Anoka, like all over downtown Anoka. But
dude, that's still kind of. It's kind of out there.
It's kind of out there, but Anoka County is pretty big. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyways, that being said, though, when I personally went to Italy, and I would see graffitis on these buildings that were like hundreds, if not thousands, of years old, I got mad, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
Like, at least in America, when we do graffiti, it's on buildings that literally have been up for like 10 years, or like they're just like crappy, right? Like, who cares? But these are like old relic churches that if you go in the inside, there's like gold on the ceiling, and it's just like, why would you do that? Like, you're spray painting over marble, and I'm like, I got angry. So yes, I understand where your frustration. Mine's a little different, but yeah. I don't do it anymore, guys. Sorry.
That's good. Thank you for admitting that. So another thing, this would be quick. John Leguizamo, I liked seeing him play the Cyclops, just seeing the behind the scenes of him doing his voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really cool that Misty Rosas, who played Quill, also played the Frog Lady. Thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was okay. I didn't know that. I need to pay more attention to like who's the actors and stuff.
Yes,
because like I did not know, and I love that. I love everything about that. Like, she's good. When they were breaking down the frog scenes and about how hard it is to like tell a story without being able to see a person, or like for her she can't really talk, like she doesn't have a voice. So like with Krill, like he has more of a voice, he's able to like show emotion a little bit different, but with being a frog lady she wasn't, and the way they did it was like, in hindsight it's amazing. In the moment I was just in the moment, right? But like when you really take a step back and like pay attention to all that, it's really sweet. And I love that little clip we got when she's like actually in the hot tub and you can see her face through the mouth. I thought it was hilarious. I was like,
I thought it was really cool that Bryce Dallas Howard was talking about how John limited them to only filming in ways that they would be able to film in on location. So, for example, the boat scene for episode 3, they were talking about this crane shot and having a crane brought in, and John was like, no. If you were actually, because the only time they went out to location was for the episode where the Boba Fett episode.
Right.
And so they obviously didn't go out and film the boat scene on water, but he was like, no, you want it to be believable. So, you have to think, would you be able to get a crane out into whatever the body of water is? Well, no, you wouldn't. So shoot it in a way that's still believable. Don't take advantage of, having a volume or having a studio or whatever. I thought that was really cool.
Right. And, from that, like, some of the perspective of, like, when Bo-Katan and the other two arrive, like, it's very close up. And that's when you're on a boat, like, you're close to each other. Like, you can't view that from 20 feet outside the boat, seeing like a bird eye view of everything going on, because that's just not a view anyone ever has. So yeah, I remember that part of that, and that was an interesting thing.
Another thing that I thought was cool was that Sam Hargrave was the second unit director. He is like huge in the like stunt worlds. Like he's a pretty big deal in the stunt worlds. He's done stunts for a lot of the Marvel movie stuff, including Endgame. I believe he was stunt coordinator, and he was also the director and stunt coordinator for the movie Extraction, which is the one with Chris Hemsworth, where he goes. It's a Netflix original.
Like the long one-shot scenes.
Yes, where he was on the hood of the vehicle, like shooting the film while he's strapped to the hood of a movie. Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
What movie is this?
Extraction.
Yeah, you gotta go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's intense,
good. Dude. It's really good.
They do these really long one-shot scenes of like car chases and like fights and stuff, and it's Chris Hemsworth is like the main character, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a behind-the-scenes thing that Jeremiah and I are referencing, Drew, where he's like in a harness, strapped to the hood of a car with a camera, where he's like literally filming one of the shots. But because he has his experience in stunt work, he's on the hood of the car and actually doing it,
And they're going like 50 miles an hour down these narrow alleys and stuff, and like doing tight turns. Like if one thing, like he's dead. Like
he's dead. He actually risked his life.
And I haven't seen it.
Dang. Yeah, just go watch it. Netflix, Extraction. Not a sponsor yet.
But if Netflix does want to sponsor it, fund my Bad Batch live action television series, so I don't have to win a Powerball, $500 million.
And
Powerball.
you guys can get sued by Disney and not Jeremiah. Go ahead.
There you go.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was funny was just on the other side of the door where the Mando crew goes into the freighter in episode 3. So obviously they didn't have an actual freighter, Imperial freighter.
What?
But
they didn't.
On the other side of the door, you see them burst in through the door where they would be coming from outside, and there's like wood scaffolding and there's LaCroix cans sitting on that. I was like, just on the other side of that wall, there was a LaCroix can sitting there for that shot. It's just funny. I thought it was crazy that the whole Ahsoka episode was filmed inside. They filmed the whole thing on the volume and on sound stages, which I thought was crazy because of just the impact the volume has.
Right, but even that what I mentioned earlier when Rosario Dawson was walking in and we see the other Ahsoka dressed up, like that set was a big set that she was walking into.
It was huge.
it was like the big forest, burnt forest area, and I was like, this is like
The volume is bigger. That's for sure.
It is.
max volume.
Shut your dirty mouth, Jeremiah. I did think it was funny where they were talking about using the volume for the Boba Fett, like the Inside of Slave one, which was super, super cool to see.
That was so dope that they highlighted that.
John was like, yeah, we'll try spinning it. And then Dave looks back at John and he's like, it's a good trick.
Oh yeah, I was like, Andrew's gonna like that reference.
I love that. I love that. I love that because Dave Filoni makes prequel meme references. I love that part. I thought it was really cool that they had John Knoll, who is a massive VFX player in ILM, and he worked on all of the Star Wars movies. I think from the Phantom Menace, he might have been there for the original trilogy. I don't know, but he's a huge player, and they had him do the motion control rig for the model of the light freighter.
Yeah, that was sick.
And so, for those of you that don't know, that model, anytime you see Moff Gideon's light freighter,
that's actually cruiser, a model.
It's a model, which is why it looks so good, because they used a miniature for it and actually filmed it moving through real space on a camera. You know, which brings me to another point. It was really cool to see that they had models of like the Razor Crest that they would digitally scan, and then those would be the projections on the volume. Yeah. So it's not a digital rendering out of, just from a computer of this spaceship, but it's actually a physical object that's being projected. So it adds so much more realism to those projections, which I thought was incredible. It's a really smart. They're like, this is the light cruiser was the only one that they actually had in the shot on film, but the rest had been scanned and projected, and I thought that was really cool.
You know what hasn't been a scan and projection though before?
What, Drew?
Coffee.
You're right. That's a good segue to the second sponsor of today's episode, Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. Check this out.
I have to go to the bathroom, guys. That's why I had to do this segue.
Are you kidding me? I was trying to find a better place to put it, but go to the bathroom.
Behind the scenes for those on Twitch.
Yeah, if you're on Twitch and watching this later on YouTube, here you go.
How many people are watching on Twitch right now?
I don't know, but I haven't been watching the live chat because I've been. We have 2 viewers.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense because there are way more than that I see. Like, I'm pretty sure Tanner's here, which is awesome because Tanner's been here a lot since we started doing this.
Right.
He also said, Jeremiah always looks so done with the jokes you guys pull.
What?
I don't blame you. If you are done, I don't blame you because that was one heck of a segue into that coffee ad.
All right, he's back.
Yeah, we got to stop talking about him.
Yep.
What?
Did you see what Tanner said?
Hey, I drank a bunch of water waiting for health checks earlier, okay? I'm trying to hit that 1 gallon.
We're talking about electronic ones, by the way, for the recording software. For those of you that are watching the live stream, we're not just like sitting there like waiting for a COVID test or something.
No. Oh, yes. No.
All right, you ready? Do it. Go get a coffee subscription. You won't regret it.
No.
I'm really excited, everyone, because I got my special bag of Rule of 2 coffee in today. I've not had any yet, but that's going to be the first thing that I do in the morning is make that.
Oh, you haven't had any yet?
No. It came in, the mail comes really late here, and so I had already had my morning cup and my afternoon cup. I was like, I probably shouldn't.
Did you smell it at least?
No, I put it straight in the freezer.
Smart man. That was my second question.
Yep.
Did you
I
put
don't
it
play,
in the freezer?
bro. I don't play with that stuff.
Respect.
So, okay. I'm trying to see. Okay, the last thing that we haven't from my list that we haven't really discussed was Bib Fortuna's staff.
Oh yeah, I didn't know anything of that at all. Like, but that's
I
interesting.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing until I watched this. But apparently, Bib Fortuna, his original action figure, came with a staff that was not in the movie, which is common. Like, action figure companies used to do that all the freaking time.
Yes.
And they replicated that staff for him for the scene at the end of the final episode where Boba Fett comes in and wrecks everything. So I thought that was cool. And bringing it back, I still think it's really cool to see the attention to detail because they're doing that stuff, and they're bringing all these references in.
I really hope that they make a Bib Fortuna Black Series figure, but like a fat Bib Fortuna before he gets killed. I would buy the frick out of that thing. It'd be so dope.
I just want to know how many people are at the next Star Wars celebration. They're gonna cosplay him with these big fat.
Dude, that'd be dope. I can't wait to go to whenever we are able to go.
We are for sure gonna see Boba, the new Boba.
Oh,
which by the way, seeing Tamora Morrison talk about Boba being him again was nice.
It was
also,
good.
So he can actually play the blues.
Yeah.
I saw
just a little side musical note there as a guitar player. His technique was pretty on point.
I saw a meme the other day after that came out, this gallery episode, and he's like something like, "You think you're cool, but are you?
Yeah.
Are you wearing Boba's armor, wearing a cowboy hat, standing on a rock, doing a haka dance or something like that? Like, it's like you can't beat that. That's the coolest thing ever."
Yeah, I love that he was playing the guitar with Robert Rodriguez. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was a sweet moment.
It's really cool to hear him talk about how they brought in the haka and how he requested a longer gaffy stick to be able to add in his traditional fighting style into that. That was really cool too.
I read an article after that episode aired originally, and him talking about how he was able to use his cultural fighting training to do this, and he was able to pay homage to his culture in that scene when he's fighting, which is really cool.
It was really sweet. And like I love how they like talked about the detail about how they made it longer. Like they could have totally passed on it, but then they brought the guy who built it, and he was going through it and talking about how it's longer, and it was a really cool like little. I love these things because it highlights stuff that like it just makes it so much more deep, and then we can talk about it and we can like tell more people about it. And I just love these little. That's why I hope this is a whole season, not just one episode.
Well, we'll see.
We'll find out Friday.
On Friday, yeah. So yeah, I mean, as always, again, it's just really cool to get a behind the scenes look of something you love and find out it's being made with the highest level of excellence people can offer by people who also love the thing that you love. You know, it's not like a bunch of suits that are saying, I bet it would be good if Ahsoka was in the episode. And then they were like, someone else do it. We don't really care.
Well,
just hire someone to come in. But it's like everyone from the top down, at least from Jon Favreau down, really loves what they're doing and really loves the story, really loves the craft. They respect it. They respect the legacy. It's really nice.
Well, even Jon Favreau, or no, Dave Filoni was saying like he's not going to add anything to any of these episodes if it's not needed. Like he's not going to add a character just because to add a character. And which like to me that means that we're going to give more characters, But like he didn't add Ahsoka last season just because he added
said
Ahsoka.
he didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like I feel like for this season, like we didn't get like other characters because one, they'll most likely be in the Ahsoka show, right? But then at this, hey,
There was that one episode where he was like, "Yeah, and then we could see Thrawn. Okay, maybe not there, but then we could see Thrawn." I just thought it was funny.
I mean,
I want to see Thrawn too.
We'll see Thrawn in the Ahsoka show, but it's just like they're very intentional, and like Dave really doesn't want to mess it up, and he really wants to make sure that like everything is in the right spot, like a puzzle piece, you know. And I really appreciate it, even though I want to see more of my characters. But
Jeremiah, you've been quiet.
Right. Well, I was gonna say I really did like Bryce Dallas Howard's interaction in the gallery. Like, I really like her with Star Wars because
I do too.
Because she did. What was the first one she did?
She did episode
Sanctuary, and then she did the Heiress,
which
episode 3 here.
Right.
So,
which like, Sanctuary wasn't my favorite, but Heiress was like one of my favorite from this season. So.
And so like I really like her with Star Wars, and I don't know, it just seems like she has like a different like pep in her step than compared to the other directors. I don't know what it is. It's just
they were talking about her positivity and how infectious that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that helped their performances and the mood. And I really like the scene when she says the women in my universe pay on the dates or whatever like that. Like where she, because the guy that was dressed up had the money, the credits in his hand, the Mon Calamari Flan or whatever. It's like, no, give it to the woman. She's gonna be. I'm like, that's just a funny little detail. Like no one noticed that at all watching the episode, but there's probably a scene when the female alien slides money to the waitress or waiter. Like, I don't know. I just really like her, and I would really think it'd be really cool if she got her own Star Wars movie or series to direct sometime in the future. That'd be
her father already has.
Yeah, he's the one that stepped in and saved what was going to be a train wreck Solo movie. So
yeah, Ron Howard.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was something that I wasn't aware of, their relationship as father and daughter.
You didn't know that?
You didn't know
that?
No.
Okay, I'll hold on.
It's been years. I've known about this for years, but I felt like when I found out, I was much later to the game. Because like I didn't find out until after Solo. Shortly after Solo. And my wife was like, yeah, it's a thing. And I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to know this? Like nobody tells me these things, you know?
I don't think, honestly, Andrew, I didn't put it together that was her dad until the first season of The Mandalorian. Like I honestly didn't really pay attention to her. I know that she was in like the the Jurassic World movies, but then like that was it. Like I didn't realize that she helped film the Jurassic.
She plays Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire.
The first one?
No,
the first Spider-Man.
She's
the
blonde,
legendary.
Right? Like really
she's
white blonde.
Yeah. She plays Gwen Stacy.
And she also plays.
I hated those movies.
Shut your mouth.
The blind girl in The Village, the main character.
Does she really?
I think that's Bryce Dallas Howard.
I haven't seen that movie in a while, so I need to go back and rewatch that. I don't know if I've ever seen was the movie. Thing that I had forgotten she was in Spider-Man, and then I watched the Jurassic World movies, and then I like a month or so later watched Spider-Man again. I was like, wait a second, has she been in this movie this whole time?
When's the last time you've seen the Spider-Man 3 movie?
Like when it came out, like 15 years ago.
No, I'm asking Andrew because it seems like it was last month. It was
this year because we bought. It wasn't last month, but it was this year. It was earlier this year because they had a deal on the Apple TV movie thing, and my wife and I got them. because we love those movies.
I don't know if you could pay me to watch.
They're
those
terrible
again.
in the best way.
Wait, the original trilogy?
Yeah.
The first two movies are great. You think they're terrible?
They're cringy.
I don't like any of those movies, but this
What?
isn't.
Those are amazing.
Hold on,
I
Jeremiah.
literally didn't even
I
like
love them.
Spider-Man
I love them.
until like.
No, you love them because they're terrible. I love them because
No, I don't love them because
great.
they're terrible. There are many great parts about those movies, but there are definitely times where Tobey Maguire makes some facial expressions and stuff, and I just can't not laugh. In some of the most serious moments, like there's some times where he makes some facial expressions when he's holding back the train in Spider-Man 2, and it's just funny to me. I don't know what it is.
Well, what kind of face are you gonna make if you're trying to do that? You're not gonna have the most attractive, good face. You're not gonna be like Rico Suave on the front of that thing looking your best.
And somehow we've made it here.
I was about to say how Jeremiah has been super quiet this whole episode, but as soon as we start talking trash about the first two Spider-Man movies that were trash, he starts to talk and defend them.
Oh, God.
Drew, I don't think that is fair. Jeremiah, I'm with you. I don't think that's right.
Okay, fair.
But that's for our Spider-Verse podcast that we're gonna start once
Into the Spider-Verse 2 comes out.
Speaking of Spider-Man, someone made like a fan trailer for Spider-Man 3 called Spider-Man 3 Homeworlds, where it's the multiverse.
Yeah.
And it's all clips of like the 3 different Spider-Mans. It was really cool.
Isn't that a real rumor that all the Spider-Mans are going to be in it?
Yeah, that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield are all going to come in for a multiverse. But that's a really good like prediction on the name of that movie, Homeworlds. Like, that's pretty cool.
I'm trying to think of a really fun segue to get this back into Star Wars.
So
and
Disney, they own everything.
I'm blanking, yeah.
But let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Okay. And another thing I wanted to mention was the fact that they made the crate dragon with legs.
Yes.
But never showed the legs. Like,
are you complaining?
It's just weird that I'm not complaining. I was like, why would they put all that effort to make the whole body, but then never actually show it? Like,
Jeremiah, a wise man once told me.
And who is this wise man?
That doesn't matter. A wise man once told me, just because you have a bunch of legs doesn't mean you got to show them.
Who said that?
It doesn't
That's not
matter.
A thing.
The same man also said it's better to have a bunch of legs and never use them than to have no legs at all.
Is this like a reference to some movie or like some poem or like
let it sink
Dr. Seuss or something?
He's making it up on the spot, Jeremiah.
1 leg, 2 leg, 3 legs,
no,
4.
Jeremiah, I'm making it up. Stop analyzing it. All I'm saying is it's better to have the legs if they needed them
than to not have
them.
Then
John Favreau walk in and be like, all right, we got this crate dragon shot we're adding in where he actually sidekicks Din Djarin right out of the air when he's using his jetpack, and they're like, oh frick, we didn't make any legs. Like that would have been a bad scenario. So,
and I feel like that was just to show like from the skeleton from A New Hope, where the crate dragon has been first seen, how it grew into this big thing, and like talking about how over time it slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what that was, Jeremiah.
I get it. I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is I would buy a shirt that says it's better to have a bunch of legs and never use them than to need to use them and not have them.
Stop telling everyone about our future merch.
Start selling merch, Empire Radio merch. That would be up there with a trash comment shirt.
Mm-hmm. The first half of Star Wars movies is trash, just like the first 3 movies of Spider-Man series has been trash.
Drew.
Did you like The Amazing Spider-Man? Those 2 movies?
It was okay. I really liked it because the main actor, his name is Drew, so I like.
No, his name is Andrew.
Well, yeah, but call him Drew sometimes too. They also call it Andy, I think maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I feel that.
One of my favorite lines is "You're trash, Brock." From the first one, from the very first one, it makes me laugh every time it's
Why are we talking about this still?
Anyways, it doesn't matter. I like the crate dragon. I like that it had a bunch of legs.
Yeah.
Thought that was fun. That was nice.
I like that they mentioned the homage from the original artist about how they did the spider in that
Ralph
scene
McQuarrie.
too. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know this. So Doug Chang, who is like the concept artist at Lucas, like he is the guy. He has been
The guy with the one
involved,
earring.
Yeah, he has been involved in every Star Wars since the Phantom Menace. Like he's, I would argue, the modern day equivalent of Ralph McQuarrie as far as his impact on Star Wars is concerned.
Right.
I follow him on Instagram, and actually he's one of the only accounts that I have notifications set up for when he posts, because I enjoy looking at his artwork so much.
That makes sense.
But he was, I mean, incredibly influenced by Ralph McQuarrie. And so like that makes total sense to me, where he was like, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't used from Ralph McQuarrie. There's a ton of stuff that wasn't used. He's like, let's just use the spider. Like, yeah, it works, you know? And I love that they used that. And instead of Rebels, because like the ones from Rebels were very much inspired by that, but they were different. Whereas these spiders were like, literally, they took the design and they just made it live action.
And we've talked about it when that episode came out. We talked about where that's come from and where that design did come from. But for them to acknowledge that completely in this series, this episode, I thought it was really cool. Like, and it just shows you like they are treating it like us fans are treating it. You know, like they're doing everything's intentional, and we keep bringing that up and stuff, but we have to, because we appreciate it. As fans, we should appreciate that they're taking this much detail, and they're showing us, because we have been let down because of lack of detail before. So,
yeah, I love Ralph McQuarrie's work. I love his work. I've had a book on my Amazon wish list for the longest time, and the reason I haven't purchased it is because it's like $170, but it's like a massive box set, officially released by Lucasfilm, of his art, like, and his legacy. And that's one of the reasons.
Keep note of that item. Let's put in the back of our head just for a little bit.
That's not why I said that, but my birthday is May 17th.
okay.
But no, I love his work, and I love how, I mean, they've always paid homage to him, because like if you think about it, there's for example, there's an archway in The Force Awakens on Jakku that was an original concept design for Tatooine that was never used, and they put that in there. It's also, fun fact, because of a YouTube video that I watched today, in the DLC for The Force Unleashed, I believe, there's an archway on the way to one of the missions where you're going to Jabba's palace, that you see that archway and you can destroy it. And so like they're always doing that with some of Ralph McQuarrie's stuff. Like,
well, even
if you enjoy Rebels, I mean that whole thing is a nod. The whole art style is a nod.
Zeb was the original Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I have the Ralph McQuarrie Funko Pops that Star Wars Celebration 20. Why you don't like them?
So I really wanted them.
Oh,
but
yeah, you should have ordered them. But anyways, I have them, but they're really cool, and like you can tell that Chewie is Zeb, but also like I just love that, like the Vader is really cool. The Boba Fett, the original, like art style for him is really cool, and I really appreciate it. So I love that they keep bringing back his work, and it's very intentional and very on purpose. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else I enjoyed. Jeremiah, what else did you enjoy?
There's probably a million things I'm forgetting, but I really like the little scene when the stunt coordinator is going over Ahsoka's choreography, and I guess I didn't. I don't know. I didn't really think about it, but I should have. But how she was practicing those quick, long jumps and then fighting in quick jumps, like that's very Ahsoka animated. Like it was like those. I was really impressed at how well Rosario was able to do those crouching long jumps, slash, and then jump out, and then how like I really like that attention to detail because sometimes you think like, oh, we can't do a fighting style that's on par with like an animated acrobatic type thing, but they were able to pull it off, and it looked very Ahsoka like.
Yeah. Yeah. They talked about a few different times about how Dave like just wanted to get that right.
Mm-hmm.
To such an incredible like level of detail, and how like there were other people that in this documentary that were like, yeah, this is a character. Ahsoka's a character that Dave created with George, and how you want to have a different enough look that it differentiates it from the animation series, but you also want it to be immediately reminiscent and recognizable for longtime fans of Clone Wars. And again, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Hashtag give it to Dave. Also, this is what we should have gotten with the main characters in the sequels, but the same attention to detail and respect. But that's not what we're here to talk about. It's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
So
But that's basically all I can think of off the top of my head.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about it already, but the big Boba Fett making sure like he was like we were talking about how the director was making sure that if this is the last time we see Boba Fett, he wanted to make sure that we knew that Boba Fett was Boba Fett, and I really appreciate it. I hope that he does get his hands on maybe one of those episodes of the Boba's book. Like that'd be really cool. Yeah, it'd be really cool to see that. Also, I feel like we didn't mention this, but that director from season was it season 1, he also directed this one that what
Rick?
episode? Yes.
Was it Siege?
He did. Did he? I thought
Or was it?
No, he
or
did
was
the
it
heist.
Believer?
Are you talking about Peyton Reed?
No, Rick.
Rick Famuyiwa.
Didn't he do the one where they're
did,
breaking the breakout?
Prisoner.
Yeah, the Prisoner.
Yeah, he did The Prisoner, and then
he did another one too.
The Siege.
Yeah.
Or not The Siege. Was it The Siege? The one with the Rhydonium?
No, that was the Believer.
The Believer.
Yes, I believe he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
the one
both
with
his episode had Bill
Burr in
right.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I loved how much like as like actors they really appreciated him as the director, and appreciated like when like they all love to work with him. It seems like almost the most, because when they want to do something, he just lets them be actors and like
Let them be creative on their own.
let's like, and his style of how he does it was like, well, who's to say like the way they're doing it is any better than what I'm thinking? Like they can do it, and that might be the missing piece of the puzzle. And I just loved like it really seems like these directors really care about Star Wars, but also care about the workers. And I don't know if that was on purpose just to like make us feel good, but I don't know. It seemed intentional. Like they actually care about their jobs and care about the people that are working with them. And it seems like it's a big happy family. That's what this seems like, and it's really cool. And I love that. Like in hindsight, I love that episode. Like they're talking about that's the first time that Mando took off his helmet in front of another human since he put on the helmet originally as a youngling or whatever, a foundling. And I just thought that was really cool. Like when you really take a step back and see the whole series as a whole, that episode has a very big impact on the storyline. And in the when we tore down that episode at first, it wasn't. It was one of my least favorites, but like after I've seen it and then keep watching the show after like the next episode, it's definitely I do love it a lot more. So I don't know about you guys,
Yeah.
but during Christmas I watched the whole season from the first episode to it, and
I did not do that.
I loved season 2 as a whole. It was really good.
Well, good. I still can't, and this is just a kind of a passing comment. It still baffles me that stuff like this gets completed with all the hundreds and thousands of moving parts and people and jobs. It's mind blowing to me that so many people can come together and do something like this. There's a documentary that was, I have the Blu-ray, the first 6 movies, like the Blu-ray box set. There's a documentary for Revenge of the Sith that if you can find it, well worth the watch. And it's like the making of a scene or something like that. And it's like a 15-second scene, but it ends up being like a 30 or 40-minute documentary. And they only scratch the surface of how many people. They literally go from like payroll and catering all the way to visual effects. And it is mind-blowing to me how stuff like this gets created. But anyways.
That'd be sweet to
Anything
do an
else?
episode on that.
Yeah, we could. We
Sweet.
definitely could.
I don't know about you, but I have that box set. Wait, Jeremiah, don't you?
I have that. The one with like the orange cover, kind of.
The one with the Tatooine cover?
Gosh.
No, I'm not bougie. I just have the normal one with Darth Vader on it.
Yeah, that's one I have too. But he has the original Blu-ray box set with Anakin on the cover.
Like the tin cover.
Yeah, little Annie.
Wow, bougie,
don't you?
Bougie boy.
No, I have the box set that has all 6 movies in it, and it's the pinkish, orangish sunset color.
Yeah, it's Tatooine. Yeah,
you got the bougie one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that has different content than what you have.
Oh, does it really?
They're different. They're not the same.
Oh.
So the behind the scenes things are going to be different on mine. I think.
You heard it here first, folks.
Let me borrow yours, and you can borrow mine then, Jeremiah, because that's
okay.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, just a reminder: check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Empire Radio Podcast, YouTube at Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast, and twitch.tv/Empire Radio. If you want to watch us do live streams of these recordings, and as we were really excited to announce earlier, our Discord is going to be launching on January 1st. So please stay tuned specifically to Facebook and Instagram for announcements about that and for more information on how you can be involved.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. All right.
Alrighty.
Well, without further ado, you've been listening to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.